Good morning, this is the Breville Barista Express BES870. So as you saw in the photos, it's in good cosmetic condition. Of course, it's a used refurbished machine, so it does have some scratches, mainly on the front where the cup and the milk jug go in and out. A few on the back as well, but honestly nothing too bad. And I've finished doing the cleaning cycles, the descale and the back flush cycle. The machine is nice and clean and it's ready to be used. The only issue with this machine, and this is why I've listed it cheaper, is the pressure gauge doesn't work. This doesn't mean that the pump doesn't work. This doesn't mean that the machine has any issues or any leaks. It's just that the pressure gauge doesn't work. Instead of repairing it, I said I will just list it for cheaper. And I can confirm to you with certainty that the machine actually does have pressure and it pulls a really good shot. In this video, we'll be making a coffee and confirming that. I think the pipe to the pressure gauge is blocked. That's why it's not building up pressure. Cool. Let's make a coffee. So I'm not sure if this is your first coffee or not, but I'll treat it as if it were your first coffee machine. When you first turn it on, usually it will take about 5 minutes to boot up. No, not 5 minutes, 1 minute to boot up, but I would recommend you don't use it until 5 or 10 minutes later, just to let it warm up. Yeah, 1 minute to start making a coffee. Most people can start using it at that point, but if you make espressos or long blacks, I highly recommend you wait, just to give it a bit more time to warm up. If you drink lattes, you probably won't notice the difference between a cold shot and a warm shot. I like to warm it up a bit more and a bit more quickly by running a blank shot. So my cup is empty here, my handle, the coffee handle, inserted, and I will press the double button. This will give me a double quantity of water, and that will warm up the group head, the portafilter, the cup, and it also acts like a flush cycle. If there's any coffee grounds or oils stuck in the basket or in the shower screen, this will clean them. There we go, you can do this once or twice, it's up to you. I'm quickly going to fill the water. Put that on the side for now. Take out the portafilter. Make sure you dry it before you start grinding the coffee into it. This is a double basket. This takes 18 grams of ground coffee. So I'll be dosing 18 grams. At the moment, I've got the grind size at number 6. So there's only one way to know if you have the correct grind size, and that's by making a coffee and seeing the speed that it comes at. Each bean is different, each machine is different, so you can't use someone else's settings, even if they have the exact same machine and the exact same beans, which is actually unlikely anyway. So we'll be using grind size number 6. Just by the texture, it seems to me to be close enough to espresso grind size. The amount I'll keep at 12 o'clock and see how much that gives us. And the filter size, you can put it on double and grind double the quantity in one go. Personally, I like to keep it on single and do it twice. That way I can reduce the spillage and sort of control the quantity a bit more. So I'm going to use my scale to measure the input and the output. So the input into the handle would be what we grind, and the output would be what comes out of the handle in the espresso brewing. So 0 grams, let's do it. This is my first dose. Let me just quickly measure. 9.7. So, a bit more than we wanted. We wanted 9 grams. Okay, that's 9 grams. I've taken it back to 11 o'clock just so we can get 9 grams instead of 10. 18 grams exactly. So 11 o'clock position. And grind size number 6 with these beans that I'm using. These are Coles medium beans. Coles and Aldi beans are the ones I usually recommend. Other supermarket brands tend to be cheaply made, I would say, cheaply made and not as good tasting. And cheaper beans or older beans that you buy from the supermarket usually will be too quick when you brew, will give you very low pressure and quick flow and little crema. Whereas with Coles and Aldi, I believe they are a bit more fresh and they give me a bit better taste, of course. This is 18 grams with my beans. When you change your beans, you may or may not get the same results, so keep that in mind. I'm going to press it nice and firm with my tamper. Make sure you put even pressure all around the coffee and make sure it's flat. This is what it would look like, nice and polished. If you don't have a scale or if you're in a hurry, you can just look at the depth of the tamper. So this tamper has a silver part on it. This silver part should disappear when you have the correct amount of coffee. So this is what it looks like. That's how I know I have exactly 18 grams. Well, not exactly, just more or less. It's like a little guide for people. Just look at the silver part and make sure it disappears. Lock it in. And then I'm going to drain the hot water from my cup now. You also have a hot water tap here. So you can turn your espresso into a long black. Or you can, warm up your cups or make some tea bags. In my case, I add a little bit of sugar to my coffee, so the hot water helps it dissolve. These buttons here, the single and the double, these are programmable, so you can change them to whatever length you'd like. From factory, they come pretty, the standard setting from factory is pretty long, and it probably give you more coffee than you need. I usually aim for 40 grams into my cup, so that's a standard dose for espresso. For every gram you put in, you want 2 grams out. We put in 18, we want 36 grams out. If I get anything between 30 and 40, I'll be happy. If it's significantly more than, let's say, more than 45 or less than 30, I will start thinking of maybe changing the grind size. So if my grind size is too large and the coffee is flowing too quickly, I will get lower pressure and more coffee than I need. Even after setting the buttons, with low pressure, you'll get more coffee. If, say, I have too fine of a grind size, the coffee is very finely ground, it's compacted into that portafilter, the water will struggle to flow through it. And at the end of the shot, I'll be getting a very small amount of coffee, which is not ideal either. So we're using grind size 6, and we'll make a coffee now. And I'll be also adjusting the button for you. So I'll be adjusting the button to give me about 40 grams with these settings. Again, if we change the beans or the settings, we may need to change these as well. So to program, we press program. Then the button you want to program, then it'll make coffee, and just wait until it finishes or gives you the right amount. Okay, coffee is flowing a bit slower than expected. But it's actually flowing okay now. We're at 25 seconds. I think this is telling me that our grind size is a bit too fine. So we are almost at 35 now. I'll turn it off. So the shot took 35 seconds. It's a good shot, it looks good. I just think that we need to grind one number coarser. So we're at number 6 now. If I had the time, or if this were my machine, and I'll be using it forever, I'll be using grind size 7 or 8. But since this is your machine, I'll leave it to you. So when you go home, you can do this adjustment later, because it'll depend on what beans and what roast you'll be using. But this is a good shot. That's 33 grams in 35 seconds. Not too bad. But yeah, again, I would use grind size 7. In fact, I'll change it to grind size 7 now and let you do the coffee later. So after you change your grind size, make sure you run the grinder just to get rid of the old grind size. And don't change the grinder more than 2 numbers at a time. You don't want to put a lot of stress on the mechanism. Like if you have beans in there and you go finer, the blades will, or the burrs will like squeeze on each other, and it'll be really tough to change. So I'll keep it on grind size 7. I'll let you do the changing at your own time. But yeah, let's continue with our coffee. So that's the espresso part done. Tastes really good. Wow. Next I would steam the milk. I'm gonna grab my jug here. If you want to buy a jug, just get a stainless steel one, so you can feel the temperature through it. Of course, do the cleaning after the espresso shot. Get your portafilter. Knock it into a knock box. Sometimes the coffee will stick up. If you want to prevent that, you can reduce the dose. So if you reduce the dose, it'll obviously shorten that coffee cake or coffee puck, and it won't touch the surface of the shower screen. Give it a flush when you're done. One more. If you want to be extra nice to your machine, grab a tissue and wipe the shower screen as well. There's almost always a bit of coffee stuck in there, even after you flush. That's done, and then now steaming. Turn on the steamer. It'll take about 10 to 15 seconds to start steaming. Once you hear the pump pulsate, that's when you should start, putting the wand in the milk. There we go. Turn it off. It'll give you about 5 seconds to adjust your position before it leaves the steam mode. Turn it back on. Keep the milk spinning. For the first 10 seconds, keep the wand, the tip of the wand close to the surface of the milk, and keep it spinning. And for the rest of the way, after that 10-second mark, raise the jug and keep spinning the milk, but no longer keeping the tip close to the surface. Reason being is when the tip is close to the surface, it is injecting air and bubbles. You don't want your milk to be too bubbly. If you're aiming for a cappuccino, like a thick foam for a cappuccino, yeah, you can do maybe a bit longer at the surface. But for a latte, usually it's more flatter milk, so you don't want to stay at the surface too long. I'm using oat milk here, which is not the best. Sorry, almond milk, which is not the easiest to get smooth texture from, but it tastes really good to me, so that's what matters. Grab a wet towel. See, after 5 seconds, it'll leave steaming mode. It'll cool down the boiler by running some water through it. And now when you see the buttons light up, that means it's ready to make another coffee. Very important after you steam is to purge. That's about it. Just turn it on, just to let some steam go through that wand and clear any blockages, like milk residue will harden and it will block the wand, so you have to clean it when you're done. That's my espresso and milk done. We're gonna knock the jug on the counter to break any big air bubbles, and then swirl it around to mix it up. Yeah, it's really hard to get smooth milk from almond milk, or smooth texture from almond milk, but that's okay. Yeah, not the best latte looking thing. But at least I know it'll taste really good. For best results, I would recommend cow's milk, right from the fridge. So when it's colder, you have more time to froth and you have more time to aerate the milk. So use that instead of room temperature milk. Yeah, that's my latte for this morning, made on the Barista Express. As you saw, it was a good shot. Machine is pretty much perfectly working. I've refurbished it myself, so I've opened the top, I've looked at the internals, put the machine under full pressure, tested the steam leaks, tested the water leaks, nothing, no leaks at all. And the grinder is now pretty much calibrated. You just have to make a coffee and you're good to go. Yeah, no issues at all, apart from the pressure gauge. I hope you enjoy. If you have any issues or concerns, please let me know. I'll see you soon. Thanks.